Now, in northern Africa, Sudan, the war in Sudan is still ongoing, with more killed and thousands more displaced. Recent reports has it that the Sudanese army successfully repelled a significant assault by the Rapid Support Forces (RSF) on the Armored Corps headquarters within the Al-Shajara military area, resulting in substantial casualties and equipment damage. Starting early on Sunday morning, intense confrontations unfolded between the warring factions in the military zone and the Armored Corps located south of the capital, Khartoum. The exchange of artillery fire between the army and RSF generated loud explosions echoing in Sport City, Al-Sahafa, and Al-Usra. The army spokesperson issued a statement on Sunday night affirming, quote, "Our forces stationed in the Al-Shajara military area thwarted numerous futile attack attempts by the rebel militia on the Armored Corps and the ammunition complex."
While in East Africa, the Somali government on Sunday ordered a ban on TikTok, Telegram, and an online betting site, claiming that these platforms were being used by terrorists and groups spreading immorality to disseminate violent images and videos, misleading public opinions, and for propaganda purposes. The decision comes ahead of the second phase of the military offensive against the radical Islamist Shabab, who have been waging a bloody insurrection against the central government in Mogadishu for more than 15 years. In a statement, the Ministry of Communication and Technology said it had ordered internet providers to cut off access to the three platforms by August 24th, failing which legal action would be taken, the nature of which was not specified.
And in Southern Africa, in a message to mark SADC Southern African Development Community Day, which is celebrated annually on 17th August, the outgoing SADC chairperson, President Felix Antoine Tshisekedi Tshilombo of the Democratic Republic of Congo said the regional organization is still relevant and will remain so for a long time to come. Since the historic decision by the founders to establish the regional organization, it has consistently demonstrated solidarity and unity in addressing the many challenges that the region is facing. President Tshisekedi said the region has achieved a number of milestones that they should be proud of. On taking over the rotating presidency of the Southern African Development Community, Angola's President João Lourenço pledges to diversify sources of funding for industry and to rely less on international partners. The president called on the member states of the SADC to speed up the ratification of a key fund aimed at raising finance for industrial investment. João Lourenço, speaking after accepting the one-year rotating presidency of the SADC, had this to say.
Neste ano de presidência, procuraremos trabalhar de forma esmerada e com sentido de responsabilidade, no sentido de fazermos frente de forma unida aos grandes desafios presentes e futuros que a nossa organização tem pela frente. A questão da mulher e o seu papel no desenvolvimento integral da nossa região, com vista à construção de uma sociedade de maior justiça social, será dos pontos importantes da nossa atuação.
Lourenço pledges to work on diversifying the sources of funding for projects and programs at member state and regional levels. He said he aimed to reduce the region's dependency on international cooperation partners, who he said were always helpful.
Well, and in West Africa, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has rejected the 3-year transition plan proposed by Niger's public military junta. It will be recorded that the coup leader, General Abdurrahman Tichani, had at a meeting with ECOWAS delegation led by General Abdusalami Abubakar retired in Niamey on Saturday, proposed the military government would return Niger's republic to democracy in 3 years. Abdul Fattah Musa, ECOWAS Commissioner for Political Affairs, Peace and Security, told the BBC in an interview yesterday that the proposal was unacceptable to ECOWAS, setting the ground for a military operation. Meanwhile, thousands of Nigerians flooded the street yesterday declaring support for the military junta.
Now, their demonstration came against the backdrop of ECOWAS' insistence on invading the country to rout out coupists should diplomacy fail to restore ousted President Mohamed Bazoum to power. The rally came on a day an official of the government in Niger said talks between the ECOWAS delegation, led by former head of state General Abdusalami Abubakar, retired, and the junta achieved very little result. The official also noted that already there are deep division within the presidential guard, which ousted President Bazoum, saying should ECOWAS launch an attack on Niger Republic, the majority of soldiers in the presidential complex will flee. This is even as Pope Francis yesterday canvassed a diplomatic solution to the political crisis.
The demonstrators chanted slogan hostile to former colonial power, France, and especially ECOWAS, which is considering a potential military operation to reinstate elected President Mohamed Bazoum if ongoing negotiations with coup leaders fail. The Sahel states' new military leaders have officially banned demonstration, but in practice, those in support of the coup are allowed to go ahead. The demonstrators waved placards saying "Stop the military intervention" and "No to sanctions" in reference to the financial and trade restrictions imposed by ECOWAS 4 days after the coup on July 26. Yesterday's pro-coup rally was accompanied by musicians praising the new military regime, according to AFP.
Now, the latest in a string of pro-coup rallies came a day after the new military ruler in Niamey warned that an attack on Niger would not be a walk in the park. General Abdurrahman Tiani also said in a televised address at the weekend that he did not wish to confiscate power and that a transition of power back to civilian rule would not go beyond 3 years. Niger's new leaders have accused France, a close Bazoum ally, of being behind the anti-coup stance taken by ECOWAS, which again at the weekend made a fresh push for a diplomatic solution.
Well, according to AFP, after ECOWAS Chief of Staff met in the Ghanaian capital Accra on Friday, the 17-nation bloc said it had agreed on a date for a potential intervention, but nonetheless sent a diplomatic delegation to Niamey on the weekend led by General Abdusalami Abubakar. Niger television showed delegation members shaking hands with Bazoum, who remains in detention. It also broadcast footage of Abubakar speaking to Tichani, but the content of the exchange had not been made public. In his televised address on Saturday, Tichani alleged that ECOWAS was getting ready to attack Niger by setting up an occupying army in collaboration with a foreign army without saying which country he meant. The coup leader, Tichani, however, warned that the military and the people of Niger would defend the country should ECOWAS go ahead with the invasion plan.
Now, talks between ECOWAS, Niger's junta yield little, officials tell Associated Press. However, an official in Niamey, Niger Republic's capital, said on condition of anonymity yesterday that weekend's 2-hour meeting between Niger's new military regime and a delegation from the West African regional bloc, ECOWAS, yielded very little result. It was the first time head of the junta, General Abdurrahman Tiani, met with the ECOWAS delegation after rebuffing previous attempts. Saturday's meeting was a last-ditch diplomacy scramble by ECOWAS to resolve the crisis peacefully and followed last week's announcement that 11 of its 15 member states had agreed to intervene militarily if democratically elected President Bazoum was not released from house arrest and reinstated. The bloc's 3 other countries under military rule, Guinea, Mali, and Burkina Faso, were not included. The latter 2 had categorically warned previously that they would consider intervention in Niger an act of war. And for some obscure reason, ECOWAS is still going with that option, which makes us wonder what their interest in Bazoum reinstatement actually means for them.
Well, the official noted that during the weekend's talks, Tichani pushed for the lifting of ECOWAS, an economic and travel sanction imposed by ECOWAS after the coup, saying Niger's population was suffering because of them. The junta said they were under pressure at times striking a conciliatory tone and apologizing for past disrespect towards the bloc, while also defiantly standing by its decision to overthrow Bazoum and unequivocal about him not returning to power. Tchani also repeatedly expressed concerns that his former colonial ruler France, which has some 1,500 troops in the country and had been providing training and conducting joint operations with Niger's military, was actively planning an attack.
Now, according to the official, Niger was seen by many Western countries as the last democratic partner in the region they could work with to beat back to growing jihadi insurgency by militant groups linked with Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State. But then the question is, how democratic was Niger's democracy?
Well, he noted that France, the United States, and other European nations had poured hundreds of millions of dollars into shoring up Niger's army, adding that the coup had been seen as a major setback. There seems to be a very great interest in Niger for the Western colony or colonial powers. Well, there is a lot yet to be unraveled about the coup in Niger, the purpose of it, what the West stands to lose or gain if Bazoum is or isn't reinstated. A lot that we cannot just unravel in today's broadcast, but as always, we will bring more light on this matter subsequently.